Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into something really crucial for success, and that's building a powerful personal brand. We're going to be looking closely at this article from blogwidow.com.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's called How to Build a Personal Brand, a
Mhm.
step-by-step guide for success, published, I think it was February 20th, 2025.
The thing that really stood out to me in this article was how it just went straight to the heart of what a personal brand actually is. Like, it really challenged some of those typical, misconceptions.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just about, like slapping a logo on something or coming up with a catchy tagline or something. It's like so much deeper than that.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. It really emphasizes that a personal brand is about the feeling people get when they think about you, the reputation that you build. It's about those things you can't really touch that make you stand out and make people trust you.
That's such a good point. It's like we can all relate to that feeling we get when we think about brands like Apple or Nike. They've cultivated a really specific image and emotion. Like people really resonate with it. But the thing is, it didn't happen right away, you know?
Oh, for sure. Exactly. Those iconic brands were built strategically, consistently over time. They had a clear vision and they executed it, really carefully. It just reminds you that building your own personal brand, it's not something that happens overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a long game. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
So the article gives 7 steps for building a powerful personal brand. And I think it'll be cool to kind of walk through each of them, not just what they are, but also why they're so important. What do you think?
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in.
All right, so step 1 is all about defining your core values and your purpose. And this is where you really get down to like the core of who you are and like what drives you. The article really stresses how important it is to like reflect on yourself during this step.
Yeah, I think that's super key because if you don't really understand your own values and purpose, your brand's going to feel fake. People can tell when something's not genuine, and these days authenticity is so important.
Yeah, that's so true. Think about someone whose online persona is just totally different from who they are in real life.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't, click.
Right. And when your brand is really a reflection of who you are, it draws in the right kind of people. People who really connect with your values and what you're all about. That's what builds a loyal following and helps you make a real difference.
Okay, so step 2 is figuring out your target audience. And the article asks a really smart question. Who benefits the most from your skills?
Mm.
It's about getting who you're trying to reach and how your unique talents can solve their problems or, meet their needs.
I actually think that's where a lot of people they trip up. They're trying to appeal to, everyone, but by doing that, they end up not appealing to anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like being a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Your message gets so watered down that it just loses its power.
Yeah. The key is to really hone in on a specific group of people who are most likely to gain from what you offer. That way you can tailor your message, make content that really resonates, and ultimately build a more engaged, and loyal audience.
Okay, step 3 is all about content. They say content is king. The article talks about different forms of content like blogging, social media, videos, even podcasts.
And I think what's really important here is that it's not just about making noise. It's about giving your audience something of value. It's about sharing your expertise, your insights, your stories in a way that either teaches, entertains, or inspires.
That makes so much sense. Like the people I follow online, the reason I follow them is because their content is always teaching me something new or helps me solve some kind of problem. It's not just about scrolling mindlessly.
Exactly. When you consistently put out top-notch content that really benefits your audience, that's what establishes you as, a thought leader in your field. It builds trust, credibility, authority, all those ingredients of a solid personal brand.
All right, let's go to step 4, social media and networking. And the article emphasizes how important it is to make genuine connections, not just to get more followers.
It's funny how many people treat social media like some kind of numbers game. They get so fixated on followers and likes, they totally forget that real engagement comes from building authentic relationships.
Oh, I see this all the time. People buying followers or spamming groups with self-promotion. It just feels so icky and inauthentic.
It really does. The point of social media is to have meaningful conversations, to connect with people who are on the same wavelength, and build a community around your brand. It's about actually adding something to the conversation, not just yelling into the void.
Step 5 is about creating your own website, a place where you're in control and you can showcase your expertise.
You know what? It always surprises me how many people underestimate how important having your own website is. It's like having your own digital storefront, a place where people can learn more about you, your services, and what makes you unique.
Yeah, it's about having a space that's totally yours. You're not at the mercy of algorithms or the rules of social media platforms.
Exactly. A website just adds this layer of professionalism and credibility that's hard to get just from social media. You can present your work in a way that's curated and polished, which can be super valuable when you're trying to attract clients, collaborators, or even employers.
Okay, step 6 is about authenticity and consistency. The article highlights how important it is to be genuine and true to yourself, online and offline.
You know, one of the things that I find really interesting about personal branding is that it's kind of like a mirror reflecting your true self. If you're trying to be someone you're not, it's going to show and people will pick up on it.
It's like that saying, right? Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Authenticity, that's what draws people in. It's what makes you stand out in a crowded space.
Absolutely. And consistency is just as important. It's about showing up, regularly, doing what you say you'll do, and staying true to those brand values.
So it's about building trust by being reliable and predictable. Like if someone knows they can always count on you for high quality content or good insights, they're more likely to become a loyal follower.
Right. Consistency reinforces your brand identity and makes you more recognizable over time. It's like setting a pattern of behavior that people can rely on.
And finally, step 7 is to adapt and grow. The article recognizes that personal branding isn't static. You're constantly learning, changing, refining your message as you gain more experience, and your goals might shift.
This is such a crucial point, especially in today's world. What was considered a relevant skill 5 years ago could be totally outdated today.
You're so right. It's like they say, what got you here won't get you there. You got to be open to adapting, learning new things, and refining your approach. If you want to stay relevant, you got to keep growing.
And that means being self-aware. You got to step back and assess your strengths and weaknesses and figure out where you need to improve. You got to be open to feedback and willing to experiment with new strategies and tactics.
So we've covered a lot here, but I think it's important to remember that these 7 steps, they're really just a framework.
Yeah, definitely. They're a solid foundation, but to build a really powerful personal brand, you also got to deeply understand your own strength, values, and aspirations.
And that brings us to a really important question for you, the listener.
How do you take these principles and actually apply them to your own situation? Because let's be real, everyone's journey is different.
That's such a good point. The article does a great job at the basics, but it got me thinking about all the ways people mess this up. Like we've all seen those cringy attempts at personal branding, haven't we?
Oh, totally. There's Instagram feeds that are like way too polished and just scream fake, or LinkedIn profiles that are just a bunch of buzzwords. It's obvious when someone's just missing the point.
Yeah, it's like they're trying so hard to fit into some mold instead of owning what makes them different.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest traps people fall into, trying to be someone they're not. They think they need to project this perfect image, but honestly, it's the imperfections, the quirks, the unique angles that make a brand really interesting.
So maybe we can kind of flip the script here and talk about some common pitfalls to avoid as we go through those 7 steps.
Yeah, I like that. Let's break it down.
So starting with step 1, defining your core values and purpose. Where do people go wrong here?
Well, I think a lot of people rush through this whole self-reflection thing. They pick values that sound good or look impressive, but they haven't really thought about what those values mean to them personally.
It's like building a house on a shaky foundation. Might look pretty from the outside, but it's not going to last.
Exactly. Your core values and purpose, they're like the bedrock of your personal brand. They should drive everything you do, every piece of content you put out there, every interaction you have.
So really take your time with this step. Dig deep, be honest with yourself, and don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable.
For sure. Okay, what about step 2, identifying your target audience? What are some common traps there?
Well, I see a lot of people trying to be everything to everyone. They cast such a wide net that their message gets so diluted, it loses its punch.
It's like trying to please everyone at a party. You end up spreading yourself so thin that you don't connect with anyone on a deeper level.
Totally. And then they wonder why they're not getting the results they were hoping for.
Right. So the key here is to focus, focus, focus. Who are you most passionate about helping? What are their struggles? What do they want to achieve?
Once you really understand your target audience, then you can tailor your message and content to hit their specific needs and interests.
All right, let's talk about step 3. Content is king, as they say. Where do people mess up their content?
Inconsistency is a big one. They start strong, creating and sharing stuff regularly, but then life gets in the way, and they disappear for weeks, sometimes months.
It's like that friend who always bails on plans last minute. Eventually, you just stop inviting them, right?
Exactly. When it comes to content, consistency is key. It builds trust and shows your reliable presence.
And it's not just how often you post, but the quality too.
Oh yeah, totally. If you're putting out crappy content just to post something, that's going to hurt your brand.
Absolutely. Your content should always be good quality, informative, engaging, and something your target audience actually cares about.
Okay, what about step 4, social media and networking? What are some common mistakes there?
I see people getting sucked into the numbers game. They're obsessed with followers and likes and forget all about actually connecting with people.
It's like they're collecting followers like they're trophies
Mhm.
instead of trying to build real relationships.
Right. Social media is a great way to connect with people, build community, share your message, all that. But you got to use it authentically and with a strategy.
Engage in real conversations, contribute something worthwhile, and focus on building relationships with people who genuinely connect with your brand.
Moving on to step 5, building a website. What are some pitfalls here?
I think a lot of people overlook the importance of design and user experience. They end up with a website that's messy, hard to use, and just not appealing.
Like walking into a cluttered store, you just want to get out of there ASP.
Exactly. Your website is your online home. It should look good, be easy to navigate, and reflect your brand.
And don't forget about mobile optimization. These days, everyone's on their phone, so make sure your site looks good and works well on every device.
Okay, step 6, authenticity and consistency. What are some warning signs here?
One of the biggest mistakes is trying too hard to be someone you're not. They put on this act to try and fit in with what's trendy, but it comes off as fake and it backfires.
It's exhausting trying to keep up a facade. People see through it eventually.
For sure. Authenticity means owning your quirks and letting your personality come through.
Being genuine, transparent, vulnerable, connecting with people on a human level.
And consistency. That's about showing up regularly, being dependable, doing what you say you'll do, and staying true to your values.
It's about building trust by being predictable in a good way. People know what to expect from you, and they know they can count on you to deliver.
Okay, last one, step 7, adapt and grow. Where do people get tripped up here?
I think a lot of people are resistant to change. They get stuck in their ways and refuse to adapt as the world changes around them.
It's like driving a car without a steering wheel. You're bound to crash.
Love that analogy. The world is constantly changing. If you don't adapt, you'll get left behind.
You gotta stay curious, embrace new technologies, and be willing to try new things.
And don't be scared to fail. Failing is just a chance to learn and grow.
I think that's a perfect segue into something really important about this whole personal branding journey that the article didn't really address.
Yeah, like we talked a lot about the how, but what about the why? What's the whole point of this personal branding thing? What are we trying to actually achieve?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's so easy to get lost in all the details and strategies, but we gotta keep our eyes on the prize.
So I guess for you, the listener, as you're on this journey of building your personal brand, what does success even look like to you? What are you hoping to get out of this?
Are you trying to get more clients? Land your dream job? Build an awesome online community? Maybe become, a recognized expert in your field?
Your personal brand should be the thing that helps you reach those goals.
It's about being smart about how you build your reputation and your online presence so that it opens doors and brings you opportunities that match your aspirations.
And the cool thing is, you don't have to be some big celebrity or influencer to have a strong personal brand.
No, not at all. This applies to everyone, whether you're an entrepreneur, an artist, freelancer, whatever you do.
A strong personal brand can help you stand out, build credibility, and attract the right people and opportunities.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into personal branding, I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. How do you measure the success of your personal brand?
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah.
The article didn't really touch on that, did it?
Nope. But it's something important to think about. What metrics matter the most to you?
Is it website traffic, engagement on social media, speaking gigs, client inquiries?
Or maybe it's something you can't really measure, like feeling fulfilled, feeling more confident, having a deeper connection with your audience.
I think in the end, the biggest measure of success is whether your personal brand reflects who you really are and if it's helping you reach your goals.
If you can say yes to those things, then you're doing something right.
So keep learning, Keep trying things out, keep growing. Your personal brand is a journey, not a destination.
And remember, the brands that really stand out are the ones that are built on authenticity, passion, and a real desire to make a positive impact on the world.
That's it for our deep dive this week. See you next time.